Thanks very much for staying with us here on News Desk. Now, 9 civil society organizations have dragged government to the Supreme Court, describing President Akufo-Addo's decision to order the Auditor General, Daniel Domelevo, to proceed on leave as fatally misplaced. Now, this is the second case to be filed at the Apex Court, challenging the decision that will see Mr. Domelevo stay away from work for 167 days. His deputy has since been named as acting Auditor General. Court correspondent Joseph Akable joins me via Zoom with more on this. Joseph, first tell us about the CSOs involved in this action and the arguments that you're making against the president's directive.
Center for Democratic Development, CDD. There's also the Ghana Integrity Initiative, the Citizen Ghana Movement, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Parliamentary Network Africa, among others. And so these are the main groups that have come together, contracting the services of a private legal practitioner, Martin, able to put together 90 pages of legal arguments. And the core point they put across is that the presidency had argued that as the appointing authority, he had a mandate to ask the Auditor General to proceed on leave. In the documents, they describe the Auditor General as an independent constitutional institution set up by the Constitution, and they say that for such independence to be assured, it cannot be subject to such control from the presidency. And so they are urging the Supreme Court to rule in their favor and hold that the directive from the presidency is unconstitutional, it's void and of no effect. They also want the said directive that appointed Johnson Ekwame as acting Auditor General to also receive the same declaration, and the net effect will be that Mr. Domelevo returns from this leave, which they say is unconstitutional.
So those are the 3 major reliefs they're seeking from the Apex Court. Joseph, I'm wondering how different this is from the first case, because we know that there's been a case that has been taken to the Supreme Court on this very subject. How is this different?
In fact, that case was filed by a CDD fellow in public law and justice, Professor Stephen Kweku Asare. In terms of the demands he's making, it's the same demands they are making. The only difference by way of comparison is the fact that this is an enhanced document. It's a bulky document, has tons of research that even goes a step further to even look at how Auditor Generals are treated in other jurisdictions and rest on that to make the comparison, to make the case that indeed it's an independent institution. It also relies on a litany of cases that the Supreme Court have ruled on recently, including that one involving Occupy Ghana, where it's reaffirmed the fact that the Auditor General has the power to issue surcharges. And in that particular decision, Justice Dochi had made reference to the fact that the Auditor General was an independent institution, not subject to the control of any agency or any individual. And so those are by way of, in terms of if you compare it to the case that was filed by Professor Stephen Asare, but they both make the same case that the directive from the presidency is unconstitutional, and they are asking that the court sets that directive aside.
When you look at the Professor Stephen Asare case, there was an aspect of it which was the injunction I think he was seeking. That was not granted. Post that, what has happened? Where are we at that as far as that case is concerned?
In fact, after that injunction issue that was not granted by the Supreme Court, the court proceeded on a vacation, and it resumed just about 2 weeks ago. And I've been tracking the process in terms of the hearing notice, and as we speak now, a hearing notice has not been issued for that particular case yet. It's not part of the cases slated at the Supreme Court this week, but the expectation is that it will come up soon. And Professor Asare has also been making a point that he expects the Supreme Court to, as a matter of urgency, deal with it. In fact, he had preferred that it would have been dealt with before they even proceeded on the vacation, but unfortunately that was not done, and he hopes that a hearing notice will be issued shortly.
And in all of these cases, I know you're not a lawyer, but with your experience in reporting from the court, do we have the Auditor General joined to this case, or this is just between the civil society groups and the state?
In fact, with regards to the initial one that Professor Asare filed, initially he named the Auditor General as a defendant in this particular one. This particular one goes directly with it has just the Attorney General, who is government's principal legal advisor, named as the defendant in this particular action. And so in terms of Professor Asare one, subsequently the court took the view that the action should be targeted at the Attorney General, since it was a governmental decision, and the Auditor General, and in fact he had named initially the Auditor General and the acting Auditor General as defendants, but the court took the view that those are individuals who are beneficiaries of the actions or victims of the actions, and they've not conducted themselves in any manner that should be a subject of litigation. So for this particular way that has been filed, it's between the 9 CSOs and the Attorney General's office.
Thank you very much. That's court correspondent Joseph Akable bringing us details of this new case that has been filed by 9 civil society organizations to the apex courts. They are asking the courts to declare the president's directive for the Auditor General, Daniel Domelova, to proceed on leave as unconstitutional. We're joined by the Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Linda Ofori-Kwafo. Thank you very much, madam, for your time here on News Desk. I'm wondering, yes, we had you make the point very strongly when this issue came up in the discourse. But then we already know that there's a matter in court sent by Professor Stephen Asari. Why did you not opt for the option of joining that case instead?
Thank you very much. I am sure Professor Asari is an individual and has the right to go to court at any point. And also the 9 of our civil society organizations working on matters bordering on accountability, transparency, integrity, and all those also think that we have a right to go to court. And that is what we have done. We actually mentioned earlier that we are going to do so. If you remember rightly, when this matter came up, we held a big press conference in the country, and we're hoping that the president will rescind his decision. That didn't happen. The next step, obviously, was for us to take a decision on what to do next, and we decided to go to court and seek some interpretation so far as the matter is concerned.
As civil society, one thing that you do a lot is to engage. I'm wondering what your engagement with the presidency and with the people that matter as far as this issue is concerned, what that has been, and if the outcome of that engagement is what has led you to court now.
We didn't get an opportunity to have a direct engagement, as in having being invited to the Flagstaff House and have a meeting directly with the president. But what happened was for us to organize a press conference. Then I think the president then was off for some time because of COVID-19 related issues. And then when he came back, he responded and said that he thinks the decision the government has taken is in the interest of the country and they were not going to rescind. But then also with our belief that we have some challenges to the decision that have been taken, we decided to go to court to seek interpretation. First and foremost, very important for us to state clearly that we are not doing this because of a particular individual. We are doing this to ensure that even now and in the future, independent state organizations will not have some sort of interference as far as their work is concerned. We need them to have the Electoral Commission, we have the SHRAC, we have many of them, OSP and all those, they are independent state organizations. When such interference starts coming, and we believe that it is not in line with what the Constitution provides, then obviously if we don't take any action, in future, we have ourselves to be blamed. So then we have a court that is ready to listen to our case because we think we have a good case. We have gone to court, and we have good lawyers who take this matter up at the right time.
Thank you very much. That's the Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Madam Linda Kwafo, joining us on the back of a case that they have submitted with 8 other civil society groups to the Apex Court as far as the directive by the President for the Auditor General, Daniel Domelova, to proceed on leave. We'll see how that pans out in court. Court correspondent Joseph Akable will be there to monitor proceedings and bring us up to speed on that. We'll return to civil society because they've been speaking on the clashes at Odododio. But first, the Inspector General of Police, James Opon-Bueno, is appealing to youth groups across the country not to take the law into their own hands, but seek clarification and redress from the police anytime they have challenges with regards to security concerns. Now, as part of measures to ensure maximum security across the country ahead of the 2020 elections, the IGP is deploying 40 police personnel to the OT region to augment the strength of the men on the ground. There's more in the following report.
A guard of honor was mounted for the IGP in the regional capital, Damai. He met and interacted with the chairman of the Regional Security Council, the regional minister, Kwesi Owusu-Yeboah, for briefing on security issues in the region. James Opon-Bueno assured the minister that logistics and personnel are top priorities in the OT region and the new regions for that matter. The IGP also met with the chiefs in the regional capital, Damai, to solicit their support for effective policing. The IGP has been appealing to youth groups in the region and across the country to exercise restraint when they have challenges with the police service.
I would like to take this opportunity also to appeal to the youth in the area that should they have any grievances, they should not take the law into their own hands. If there's something that they don't understand, they should approach the police and they would, it will be explained to them. If they still don't understand, we are political leaders, we are traditional leaders, they can go to them. But nobody should take the law into his or her own hands.
He also says the police will be the forefront security provider backed by sister services at the December polls.
The policing of the elections will be done by uniformed officers. Police officers, Ghana Fire Service officers, Ghana Prison Service officers, officers from the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ghana Immigration Service. The BNI will be helping us from a distance, from let me say, from in the background. As far as I'm concerned, the military will also support us by way of rapid response and by way of patrols. Once again, let me assure Ghanaians that with the assistance of all the security agencies, we are going to provide a safe environment for the elections to be carried out.
James Opombueno says 40 police personnel will be deployed to the Oti region to boost staff strength.
The numbers on the ground are a bit low, and because of that, immediately 40 police officers are going to be sent down to Dambai to beef up the strength of the police here.
The IGP has also observed a crowd control and electoral violence simulation exercise in anticipation of Election Day events in December 2020. Peter Sanu for Joy News.
Now, businesses at Ejesu-Ori in the Ashanti region are being forced to close early after a mobile money merchant was killed by robbers 2 months ago. Owusu Ajay was gunned down at the central business center of the Ori market. Now, though the police have increased patrols in the town, residents are adopting new strategies to protect themselves. Now, Jima went back to the community to gauge the mood 2 months after the incident, and here's his report.
About 2 months ago, a mobile money vendor here at Ejesu-Ori was shot dead. Owusu Ajay was described by many as the biggest mobile money vendor here in this community. 2 men had come to transact business with him. Unknowing to him, the two were armed robbers, and in the line of business, one of them stood in front of this container, the other stood behind him, and unfortunately, one shot him through the window. He died instantly. Less than 24 hours after the killing of the mobile money merchant, police arrested some persons suspected to be involved in the murder. The suspects, arrested with an AK-47 rifle, suspected to have been used in the murder, were sent to the scene to assist investigations. The Ejesu Divisional Police has since intensified patrols in the area, introducing snap checks. Paul Atta is the unit committee chairman.
Previously, you could see them maybe 1 or 2. By now, they are patrolling every day and night. But because the area is big, you know, Ejesu Municipal is big. So when they pass, it will take some time before you see them again. So that is why we, the community, have decided to also plan to establish the community watchdog in order to help the police so that we can combat the crime. Yes. Yeah.
But 2 months on, businesses here are compelled to close early for fear of another attack. Now I close at 6:30, where business is at its peak. After 6:30, I only transact business with the people I know.
By 4 p.m., I should be preparing to close. I don't even transact business with people I don't know.
At the same time, the center of town is empty after 7 p.m. Even commercial vehicles don't work from 9 p.m.
na me nko ofia na me system because me ti new site and no munsu ni maduma me ye to mu hu se me be yiska o boy no ho me yese nti me kofie ntem
Say, when say before there is through police. Na brenu na police for nam dia. Ede ayushemu basheyemu ama itme asa ye adwuma sende ye yanana.
But Love News investigations have revealed police in the area is constrained with only one vehicle for patrols in the whole of Ejusu municipality. From Kumasi for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Civil society groups want those responsible for Sunday's violent clashes in Ododo punished, just as perpetrators of other violent or political violence in the country. Now, in a statement signed by the Civic Forum Initiative and the Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEC, they urged the authorities to do whatever it takes to ensure that perpetrators of past and present electoral violence do not go unpunished, and violent inter-party clashes ignited by the peace walk decisively stopped from spreading. JoyNews editor Fred Smith joins me with more. Well, we'll bring you details of that. Well, Fred Smith joins me on Zoom with more on this. Fred, the CSOs also have concerns about the rising political tension in the country. Tell us more. Well, Fred, you have to unmute your device so we could hear you. You have to unmute your device there and bring us up to speed on what the civil society groups are saying in that statement released.
Well, and as they say, they are concerned about what they see as the rising political temperature and its associated buildup of tension and deep-seated mistrust between the two main parties and then between the NDC and the Electoral Commission. And they are saying that this is also part of the reasons why the issue of insecurity seems to be spreading in parts of the country. And so they're asking the two parties to come to some understanding with the Electoral Commission on how to proceed on the organization of the December elections.
Have an appeal to the major political parties, to the NDC and the NPP.
Yes, indeed. They want the NDC and the NPP to come together to get some common ground on this issue so that their followers can also, understand that this election is about peace and not war, so they don't go on the streets and fight. Particularly to the NDC, they want the NDC to reach some agreements with the Electoral Commission so that their followers will be able to trust whatever the Electoral Commission says on the election day.
Thank you very much. That's JoyNews editor Fred Smith joining us with details of a statement released by civil society organizations on the clashes that was recorded Sunday at Ododo following that peace walk by the opposition NDC. Meanwhile, the chairperson of the NCCE, Madam Josephine Nkrumah, says she's surprised the police are yet to take any action on the matter. Speaking on PM Express last night, she expressed disappointment at what she describes as bad precedents.
Truthfully, that is a difficult question for me. As we all know, and looking at the kind of work that the National Peace Council, the NCCE, political parties, clergy, Office of the Imam, looking at the depth of work that was carried out and the seeming commitment that we got from all the parties, we know that it was going to be a difficult roadmap, but nonetheless, we believe that with the commitment that was seemingly exhibited by the two political parties, we would be, heading towards some sort of progress. But the signs are quite worrying, and the NCC, like other well-meaning Ghanaians, have all expressed their concern about this and their utmost condemnation of what happened in Ododo yesterday, and particularly some other hotspots in the country. So when it comes to what are we doing wrong, or what are we not doing well enough, I think the concerted effort and the commitment of stakeholders to this is key. Also key to this very concerning phenomenon is continued and sustained education and engagement, particularly in the hotspots. Something that we're doing, but nonetheless, seeing the kind of influence that political actors wield on supporters, you see how that plays out on supposed peace marches that actually turn violent. That's the irony of it all, how a peace march can lead to such violence. So there's a lot more work to be done. There's a lot more work for the security agencies to do. And particularly if we look at the consultations that NCC held with many stakeholders across the country, one of the key things that came out was a lack of confidence in the police or in the security agencies, thereby necessitating a certain action by political actors to want to take matters into their own hands in order to defend themselves. And we're seeing that play out again this time, having discussed the issue over and over again, having engaged security agencies over and over again, having had a lot of statements from the security agencies that they're going to act. I would have been happy to see by this time some action taken by the police, that they had rounded up some of these people that, can be clearly identified in the videos, and then we begin to see that confidence that is a necessary ingredient to the roadmap for peace here.